But that lady, that new press secretary, she's a
that video, dude.
She's a gangster. They're prepared. And you know why they're prepared? Because they're trying to play gotcha.
Yep.
So she played gotcha with them. She checkmated them.
She came in there with that Elon Musk flamethrower.
Play that video.
Watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
The ladies on The View went after White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, attacking her just for standing her ground and not giving in to their tired political tantrums. Their non-stop digs got so extreme that podcast powerhouse and political firestarter Joe Rogan had to step in and call them out. On his latest show, Rogan tore into The View for their over-the-top woke antics, calling them a bunch of fake pundits completely out of touch with reality. If you love bold, unfiltered takes, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss commentary this hot.
But that lady, that new press secretary, she's a gangster.
That video, dude.
She's a gangster. Have you seen that video?
You've never
Jamie?
seen someone more prepared for a question in your life, Jamie.
Have you seen that? You know what I'm talking about?
Small point on that. Not the big point, but small point. She was so prepared for this.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, she's supposed to be prepared.
That's why I
Jamie.
said you've never seen someone more prepared.
For that,
They're
that
prepared.
specific.
Joe Rogan started by praising Karoline for standing strong and handling every question the legacy media threw at her with ease. He noted what a lot of Americans have already seen. Karoline is sharp, confident, and clear in her message. Honestly, we've never had a press secretary this quick, composed, and on top of the facts. By contrast, Karine Jean-Pierre was a total PR disaster under President Biden, struggling with simple answers, reading off a binder, and serving up little more than political theater. Having someone like Karine is a breath of fresh air, competent, articulate, and fearless. But of course, the ladies on The View don't see it that way. To them, a strong, clear, conservative woman is a threat, something to mock instead of respect. Because heaven forbid a woman think for herself instead of repeating their script.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
What was Karoline's so-called crime? Simply having the courage to look the ladies of The View straight in the eye and say she wouldn't put up with a second of their woke nonsense. That one line hit the progressive mob like a dagger. They weren't ready for it, not from a young, sharp, unapologetic conservative woman. But Karoline didn't flinch. She stood her ground, called out their hypocrisy, and showed their groupthink for what it really is. And guess what? She wasn't wrong. Even liberals like Bill Maher, who isn't a Trump fan, have admitted that Whoopi and her co-hosts have completely lost it. Maher has slammed The View for their turn toward performative outrage and endless identity politics.
Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what, we did?
When the far left loses Bill Maher, maybe it's time for a serious look in the mirror. Karoline didn't just hand them that mirror. She held it up and made them face their own ridiculousness. At first, Karoline didn't even respond to the ladies on The View. Honestly, she had bigger things to focus on than a panel of daytime divas. But they wouldn't quit. They kept poking, belittling her experience, and sneering at her qualifications, even claiming she only got the job because she was a 10. That was the tipping point. Karoline had stayed silent long enough. So she fired back, precise, confident, sharp, and unapologetic. These weren't random jabs. They were aimed to reveal the pettiness, jealousy, and desperation of women who say they stand for female empowerment, just not for women who dare to think differently.
Watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th when they realize that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed. These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right, ABC should wake up.
Karoline's words cut through the smug facade of The View like a knife. Sharp, direct, and impossible to ignore. They knew she could speak her mind, but they weren't ready for the verbal flamethrower she unleashed. Her takedown wasn't just bold, it was brutal, clear, and delivered with surgical precision that left the ladies reeling. The blow was masterful, sending the panel into a full tailspin. Of course, Goldberg didn't go down quietly. Never one to retreat when the spotlight's hot, she fired back with her own barrage, tossing emotional jabs and recycled talking points to save face. But it was too late. Karoline had already exposed the intellectual weakness of a show that pretends to be tough, but crumbles the moment a conservative woman speaks with real backbone.
Women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason.
Sometimes I honestly feel a little sick listening to Whoopi talk. Beyond being a once celebrated movie star with a few decent films, what has she really done to lift up or empower black women in America? Any real contributions? Any groundbreaking projects? If you know of any, drop them in the comments because I'm struggling to find them. Goldberg often talks like she has earned authority, like she's been on the front lines fighting for black women. But take away the celebrity and movie credits, what's left? Her media presence has been a mess, full of tone-deaf opinions, misguided hot takes, and some of the most awkward live TV moments in recent memory. Instead of elevating the conversation, she drives it down. If she's a voice for anyone, it's not the one black women need. It's the one mainstream media uses to look like they care. That's when Joe Rogan stepped in, and it was fire. Watch this.
It is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies-infested henhouse.
Joe Rogan just brought an M16 to a knife fight, and honestly, it was way overdue. He didn't hold anything back, and every shot hit its target. Rogan called out The View for exactly what it's become, a circus of unhinged opinions masquerading as daytime television. And he's absolutely right. Some of the things that come out of that panel are so wild, you start to wonder if the cast caught a case of intellectual rabies. Let's not forget Whoopi Goldberg's jaw-dropping claim that the Holocaust wasn't about race, a statement so historically ignorant it shocked viewers everywhere. And as if that weren't enough, she once said that black Americans have it worse than women in America, as though the two struggles can be neatly compared or ranked. These aren't just careless missteps, they're dangerous, divisive narratives that hurt more than they help. Finally, someone with a real platform stood up and called it out. Joe Rogan didn't flinch. He brought the heat with precision, exposing the hypocrisy, the cluelessness, and the performative outrage of a show that pretends to be serious but crumbles under scrutiny. Joy Behar tried to step in for her friend, but even she couldn't handle the fire Rogan unleashed. For once, the circus got a reality check, and it was long overdue.
So Joy Behar went after Joe Rogan on The View, and he fired back spectacularly.
You're worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is and Joe Rogan believes in dragons. They're prepared because they're trying to play gotcha.
Yep.
So she played gotcha with them. She checkmated them.
She came in there with that Elon Musk flamethrower.
Play that video.
Joe Rogan absolutely roasted Joy Behar for her absurd claim that he believed in dragons. A moment so ridiculous, even Rogan couldn't stop mocking her. He went after her with his signature sarcasm, not just over that bizarre comment, but also highlighting her long history of off-the-rails takes on The View. Rogan didn't hold back, calling out the hypocrisy, the over-the-top theateristics, and the complete lack of intellectual rigor that has become Behar's brand of commentary. But it wasn't all fire and fury. Rogan also made time to praise Karoline, applauding her intelligence, composure, and razor-sharp thinking. He highlighted how she navigates the media, handles pressure, and stands her ground against relentless attacks. According to Rogan, Karoline is a breath of fresh air, a voice that cuts through the political noise. She speaks clearly, doesn't hide behind buzzwords, and brings real substance to every discussion. In a world full of spin, shallow talking points, and performative outrage, Karoline stands out as someone who actually gets things done. Someone who thinks fast, stays calm, and delivers truth without apology.
What did you think of Whoopi Goldberg saying it's worse to be a black person in America today than a woman in Iran? You know, I see we were talking about the trans issue before, and the New York Times really has come over on that to the sort of the sensible, liberal, not crazy woke position. I think this is a great first step toward getting the Democrats back to sanity. And a second good step would be, we got to do something about The View.
Bill Maher's absolutely right. If we want to bring back old school liberalism and cut out the woke nonsense that's taken over our institutions and culture, The View is a perfect place to start. That show has become a breeding ground for hysteria, identity politics, and groupthink, a cancer that spreads fast and infects the whole of public discourse. Classical liberalism stood for individual freedom, free speech, open debate, limited government, and protecting civil liberties. It valued reason, tolerance, and the idea that beliefs should be challenged, not shielded. Today's progressives have twisted that legacy into something barely recognizable. We now see a movement that claims men can become women and vice versa while silencing dissent with cries of hate speech. This isn't progress, it's regression. To survive, liberalism has to cut out these ideological tumors, and The View is long overdue for that reality check. In a media world filled with noise, Karoline stands out as bold, articulate, and fearless, refusing to follow the woke rulebook. Joe Rogan's fiery defense of her and his takedown of The View shows the frustration many feel with the shallow, performative outrage of daytime pundits like Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg. From praising Karoline's sharp intellect to roasting the ridiculousness of the panel, Rogan said what a lot of people are thinking. If we want honest debate and real progress, it's time to stop glorifying nonsense and start celebrating courage. Karoline just gave us a masterclass in that. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, support the channel by hitting the like button and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.